Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Sam and Cole podcast. We are brought to you, as always, by the Downtown Cigar Lounge right there on Ocean. There's progress being made down there on that corner there, Cole, and will be really interesting when it's all done because it'll be a walk-in area down there in the Downtown Cigar Lounge, which, by the way, has won some awards recently as one of the better places to kind of so-called hang out at downtown. Will be a good destination. We'll be back there as the summer progresses. But thanks to Swisher International, as well as Champion Cycling, their three locations, Arlington, the Beach, and Mandarin. We've been off for a couple of weeks. Cole, you've been still involved with the Armada as they kick off their fall season, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Nothing like 100-degree fall season starter.
Right, exactly. Yeah. What's the mood there? I mean, they didn't have the success in the spring that they wanted to have. I know Mark Frisch is not happy with the results, but he's they sold their best player. I think Tony Meola is getting as much as you can out of the team that they have. They got 1 point on the road at Tampa the other day. What's the overall mood?
I think the Tampa match was a pretty good result. And a lot of times we talk about the difference between performance and results in soccer. You look over the long haul and you see this is what you want to see. Right now, I think they may be getting better results than performances on some days, but they're now at a position where they've had 4 straight draws. All right, so it's a 4-match unbeaten streak, and not all unbeaten streaks are the same. Of course, you mix in 4 wins or 3 wins, and suddenly it's a little bit different. But they are getting guys back and getting guys worked in. Zach Steinberger, who's on loan from Houston Dynamo, scored a goal in his first game. He looks like he could be a real difference maker. Pekka Lagerblom should make his debut this week. He only played in the preseason 1 game. They got injured. He's been a Bundesliga champion. Should make a major difference. And once they get the 2 Swedes over and get Carl Ouimet healthy and ready to go, they've got a chance to do something here. I think it's interesting to see what Tony Meola has done in terms of learning about what it takes to be a head coach, what it takes to be the guy who's making the decisions in terms of the technical director and bringing the players in. It's been a learning curve. There's no doubt about it. And I think Tony would tell you that. But I like his approach because he is so straightforward with the players. He reminds me a little bit of Coughlin in this regard. And we said this on a Facebook chat we did last week. If you are a guy who wants to have your ego coddled while you're playing professional sports, you probably shouldn't play for guys like Coughlin or Tony Meola. Not that Meola is quite as maybe hard-edged as Coughlin, but he's direct about it, and he'll tell you, this is what I want, and so go do it. If you don't do it, he's going to make some changes.
I'll look for somebody. And, I don't know Tony personally, but he's a guy that I want to see succeed.
Yeah, me too. And by the way, he's awesome in terms of dealing with the media because he's been there.
Right.
He is as decorated a player as there is in United States soccer history, certainly current history. And it would be a great story for him to do great things, in Jacksonville and beyond. We'll see. It'll be interesting this weekend because on Saturday they play Puerto Rico FC, team owned by Carmelo Anthony, and it will be just the second game that Puerto Rico ever played. They nearly won against the spring champions Indy 11 last week in Puerto Rico, settled for a draw when Indy scored in stoppage time. But, that's a pretty good start. Now, the Armada started their first ever NASL game. They scored in 12 seconds and won 3-1. Doesn't necessarily indicate what's going to happen next, but I think it's a chance for the Armada to get a win. If they can do that, you're talking about 5 straight unbeaten. It's progress, and
right.
They would be toward the top of the table in the fall.
Even if you are taking small steps. Interesting, that the Copa America was going on, won by Chile again. And, I wonder if the result against the United States was an indication of where we are on the international stage in terms of, we beat a lot of teams, we play well against a lot of teams, but against the elite teams, the Argentinas, the Brazils, the Germanys, we're not in their class yet.
I think the most telling game as far as that's concerned was the second Colombia game. Now, it's a third place game. Sometimes it's hard to get up for that, but they were absolutely run off the pitch in the first matchup against Colombia, the first match of the tournament.
Right.
They were very competitive with Colombia in that third place game. I mean, it was you could actually say they had the opportunities. Had they taken their chances, they had a chance to win that game. So you have a chance to beat Colombia, the number 3 team in the world. I think that shows that they can take a step forward. I think it's a qualified success in the Copa America for the U.S. It's not an unqualified success because they didn't, get to the finals or beat one of those top teams. But they played. They showed that they were better than they were in the opener. Still, I mean, Argentina killed them. Colombia killed them the first time. So it's a step forward. It is a step forward, just not a big step forward, I think.
I think Klinsmann's still the right guy. I don't know that they need to make any kind of a move there. I think he's the right guy to get out there and still develop some talent, because he's got to make some hard decisions, and he's got the personality that's able to do that. In a couple of weeks that I was off, I was in Europe during Euro 2016, which the final will be played this Sunday at home for France against Portugal. And I will say that watching international teams at the top of their game, the skill level when you watch it is so high that it makes you feel like, will we ever get there? Right. And I thought that the comments that were made this year by one of the international stars that came to play in America about, there's a lot of running, but there's not a lot of basic. Yeah. Who was that?
Andre Pirlo, the great Italian star. Yeah.
A lot of running, but not a lot of basic skill level was on display by watching, whether it was the Italy-Germany game or France-Wales or whatever. There is a basic skill level among the elite teams and their starting 11 that right now we don't match.
You know what, though? I don't think we have to match them in terms of skill right now in order to compete with them. Because what the United States has and has always had in international soccer is big, strong athletes who can run. Right, we need to get more guys like that. We need to get more strong safeties playing soccer. We need to get more, shooting guards playing soccer.
Right. And when people have asked me that in the past, I say, you look at a country like Brazil, which is, large population country, their best athletes choose soccer because that's where the money is and that's where the notoriety is. Our best athletes choose football, baseball, basketball.
Right.
I mean, and that's where.
And
that's
soccer's improving. You start to see some guys who are, very athletic playing soccer. And it's not. You can find the 5'7", really good 5'7" athlete playing soccer in the United States. What you don't find or haven't found as much in the past is the 6'2" athlete.
You haven't found Josie Altidore. Many of those guys.
You don't find many of. That's right. Yeah. Right. And so we'll see how it plays out as we go forward. But you get the athletes. I thought it was, it's something when you last year during the Armada preseason practice or practice before the Jaguars started their season, a couple of guys went out. Dwayne Grotz and Peyton Thompson, I think, went out and practiced with the Armada part of one day. And you can see that those guys are better athletes than most of the Armada players, maybe all, but certainly most. But technically, they're so far behind Armada players, and some of the Armada players are American, some of them are international players. But if you look right now, for instance, on the Armada roster, the great example is Meshach Jerome, who is on the Haitian national team, and he has a couple of skills and he has size. I mean, if he had grown up in the United States, he probably would have been pushed to play running back. He's 5'11", 6 foot, 195 pounds, muscular, fast, and can really blast it. Those type of guys in other countries, as you mentioned, get moved to soccer. And I'm not saying that, hey, let's get rid of pushing players to play football. It's not about something organized happening. It's about soccer growing to the point where kids are exposed to it and they want to pursue it.
Because there's enough money in it.
Because and glory. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not even enough, because when you're 12 years old, you don't know what enough money is. But you know glory. You see it on the TV,
Right.
And I think
That's
there's going to be more of that now.
Exactly. Speaking of football, the Jaguars will start their training camp at the end of this month. The rookies will report that Monday, and then the veterans later in the week. We're going to look at some very specific battles. We will not see a left tackle battle probably until 2 weeks into training camp at that point, which, by the way, the Jaguars training camp first preseason game is August the 11th against the New York Jets in New York. So, I think we'll see some of those battles. There has been some heated arguments pointed in my direction about left tackle and right, guard.
I wonder where that came from.
And, and and as you know this, Cole, when people say, well, what do you think about Jokel?
What they're asking is, will you tell me you think he stinks as much as I do?
Yeah, what they're saying is, as soon as you open your mouth, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about Jokel.
Yeah.
So, and I always, as we have discussed here in the past, I always lay it out that, hey, there's going to, at this point in his career, there's going to be competition for him to try to win that job. Up to this point, the injury, the rehab, the stick him in that spot, the development of last year, all kind of on schedule, certainly not worthy of the number 2 pick in the draft in terms of development. But this is the year that it either happens or it doesn't. Well, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear me say, you say, he stinks, they should cut him. But what they're going to do is, and the logical thing is, put it out there for competition. If he can't win the job, then you either put him at guard or you move on. I mean, it's pretty cut and dried in the league these days.
Do you really see him as a guard, by the way?
I don't, but I did see him line up at guard, and that makes the Jaguars' offensive line look pretty formidable because he's a pretty big, sturdy guy. But
his game does not look like a guard's game to me. I mean, you watch him, how he plays. He's not a road grader or a low to the ground guy. He just doesn't look like a guard from that standpoint.
Yeah, well, he's more of an athlete than a road grader. That's exactly right. Cole, did you know that for the first time in the history of division play, all division leaders on July 1st had at least a 5-game lead in Major League Baseball?
Wow, how about that?
Right, so that's kind of interesting, and one of those was the Orioles. But
that was not the Royals, by the way.
Who are still wearing those gold Royals? Yeah.
Did you see their 4th of July look? They went red, white, and blue across it. They're classing up the joint with those Royals. Hey, the World Series champs will get that to you.
But I think it's funny because the way baseball is played these days, it comes down to, I think, your bullpen and your ability to hit the long ball. And as much as the Royals, last year's world champions, were almost a small ball team.
Oh yeah,
they hit for power, particularly in the playoffs and the World Series, that made the difference. But look at what their bullpen did last year, and that to me, that's what's now changed the game. Whereas if you can get a starter who will just go 5 1/3. Then your bullpen can take over.
Well, and there are more hard throwers in baseball now than ever before.
Absolutely.
I don't know why that is.
More
other
injury.
Than, weight training is better and arms hold up better. You don't have it falling off. But there's something about more velocity now. And maybe this is one of those things that the year-round baseball, the travel teams, all that impacts.
There was a great article in Sports Illustrated, which I rarely say, but there was about this year-round baseball and about the velocity, and that's what the concentration is on almost everything. I mean, you can be somebody who gets outs, and no scouts will show up at your games. If you're somebody who throws 97 and you're 16 years old, the stands are going to be full.
There were two kids. One who went to my high school, one who went to a nearby high school where I grew up, who were both wound up getting drafted, first round and sandwich pick on the first day. And they both, they showed there was a feature on them on MLB TV or something, and they're both using that blade, that Randy Johnson blade technique with a fast twitch, and they're both doing the long toss. These are guys who decided, they grew up together playing basketball, and they both decided at the age of about 15 that they were going to really go at it and try to make baseball their thing. And here they are, haven't even graduated high school yet, or just, at the time, now they have, but at the time of the draft, I don't think they graduated high school yet, and they're getting drafted first round and late first round because they could throw it 100 miles an hour.
Right. And if you develop a power pitch that's, 96 to 100 miles an hour, you're going to get drafted and you're going to make $2 million in bonus money. I mean, and that is still the consideration for an awful lot of people. Where can I make the most money? And if you do have an extended baseball career, you're going to make, 10 to $100 million.
And the money's guaranteed.
Exactly.
You sign a deal, the money. Bobby Bonilla, July 1st is Bobby Bonilla Day. He gets whatever it is, $2 million from the Mets every July 1st because he
until he's 72 years old.
Yeah, because he pushed off. He delayed payment on some ridiculously big contract, and so good for you, Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, and finally, I forget what I was going to say.
Well, I do want to say we were going to have some local Olympic flavor this year.
Right. That's right. Particularly swimmers.
And I'm surprised we haven't had more of this in the past. But Ryan Murphy, probably the best chance to bring home a Olympic medal, bring it back to Jacksonville, so to speak. But there have been a number of local teams, local schools that have had representation in the Olympic trials, which I've had a lot of fun watching here last week. Olympic swimming and in track and field championships, and I think it's going to be fun. Everybody's going to be concentrating on Michael Phelps, and if he can do it, and Usain Bolt, and if he can do it coming back off a hamstring injury. But there's going to be some local angles to swimming and track and field for us this year.
We will absolutely follow that. The track and field qualifications are going on right now. So we'll update you on that. Hopefully we'll be back in our home away from home at the Downtown Cigar Lounge right there at Ocean sometime very soon. Cole and I will now ramp this back up to a quasi-regular schedule here from now and until through football season. But great to be with you. Great to spend some time with you as always, Cole. And thanks to the folks at Downtown Cigar Lounge at Swisher International, and of course our friends at Champion Cycling in their 3 locations: Arlington, the Beach, and Mandarin.
Thanks so much. Good to talk to you again, Sam. Welcome back to the country. And thanks to you for listening to the Sam and Cole Podcast.